Hello, thanks for joining me for this story time. Today I wanted to read The Extraordinary Adventures of Arsène Lupin, Gentleman-burglar by Maurice Leblanc. I noticed that there's a pretty recent Netflix series that's inspired by this book, and I've never read it, so I wanted to give it a try. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to keep this recording pretty informal, so I'm not going to go through and cut small mistakes, just like it would be at a real story time. Chapter 1, The Arrest of Arsène Lupin. It was a strange ending to a voyage that had commenced in a most auspicious manner. The transatlantic steamship La Provence was a swift and comfortable vessel, under the command of a most affable man. The passengers constituted a select and delightful society. The charm of new acquaintances and improvised amusements served to make the time pass agreeably. We enjoyed the pleasant sensation of being separated from the world, living, as it were, upon an unknown island, and consequently obliged to be sociable with each other. Have you ever stopped to consider how much originality and spontaneity emanate from these various individuals who, on the preceding evening, do not even know each other, and who are for several days condemned to lead a life of extreme intimacy, jointly defining the anger of the ocean, the terrible onslaught of the waves, the violence of the tempest, and the agonizing monotony of the calm and sleepy water? Such a life becomes a sort of tragic existence, with its storms and its grandeurs, its monotonies and its diversity. And that's why perhaps we embark upon that short voyage with mingled feelings of pleasure and fear. But during the past few years, a new sensation had been added to the life of the transatlantic traveler. A little floating island is now attached to the world from which it was once quite free. A bond united them, even in the very heart of the watery wastes of the Atlantic. That bond is the wireless telegraph, by means of which we receive news in the most mysterious manner. We know full well that the message is not transported by the medium of a hollow wire. No, the mystery is even more inexplicable, more romantic, and we must have recourse to the wings of the air in order to explain this new miracle. During the first day of the voyage, we felt that we were being followed, escorted, preceded, even by that distant voice which, from time to time, whispered to one of us a few words from the receding world. 2 friends spoke to me. 10, 20 others sent gay or somber words of parting to other passengers. On the second day, at a distance of 500 miles from the French coast, in the midst of a violent storm, we received the following message by means of the wireless telegraph. Arsène Lupin is on your vessel, first cabin, blonde hair, wound, right forearm, traveling alone under the name of R. ... At that moment, a terrible flash of lightning rent through the stormy skies. The electric waves were interrupted. The remainder of the dispatch never reached us. Of the name under which Arsène Lupin was concealing himself, we knew only the initial. If the news had been some other character, I have no doubt that the secret would have been carefully guarded by the telegraphic operator, as well as by the officers of the vessel. But it was one of those events calculated to escape from the most rigorous discretion. The same day, no one knew how, the incident became a matter of current gossip, and every passenger was aware that the famous Arsène Lupin was hiding in our midst. Arsène Lupin is in our midst. The irresponsible burglar whose exploits had been narrated in all the newspapers during the past months, the mysterious individual with whom Ganimard, our shrewdest detective, had been engaged in an implacable conflict amid interesting and picturesque surroundings. Arsène Lupin, the eccentric gentleman who who operates only in the chateau and salons, and who one night entered the residence of Baron Schorman, but emerged empty-handed, leaving, however, his card on which he had scribbled these words: Arsène Lupin, Gentleman-burglar, will return when the furniture is genuine. Arsène Lupin, the man of 1,000 disguises, in turn, a chauffeur, detective, bookmaker, Russian physician, Spanish bullfighter, commercial traveler, robust youth, or decrepit old man. Then consider this startling situation. Arsène Lupin was wandering about within the limited bounds of a transatlantic steamer. In that very small corner of the world, in that dining saloon, in that smoking room, in that music room, Arsène Lupin was perhaps this gentleman, or that one, my neighbor at the table, the sharer of my stateroom. And this condition of affairs will last for 5 days, exclaimed Miss Nellie Underdown the next morning. It's unbearable. I hope he will be arrested. Then addressing me, she added, and you, Monsieur Desiree, you are on intimate terms with the captain. Surely you know something. I should have been delighted had I possessed any information that would interest Miss Nellie. She was one of those magnificent creatures who inevitably attracted attention in every assembly. Wealth and beauty form an irresistible combination, and Nellie possessed both. Educated in Paris, under the care of a French mother, she was now going to visit her father, a millionaire, Underdown of Chicago. She was accompanied by one of her friends, Lady Gerland. At first, I had decided to open a flirtation with her, but in the rapidly growing intimacy of the voyage, I was soon impressed by her charming manner, and my feelings became too deep and revengeful for a mere flirtation. Moreover, she accepted my attentions with a certain degree of favor. She condescended to laugh at my witticisms and display an interest in my stories. Yet I felt that I had a rival in the person of a young man with quiet and refined tastes, and it struck me at times that she preferred his taciturn humor to my Parisian frivolity. He formed one in the circle of admirers that surrounded Miss Nellie at the time she addressed me with the foregoing question. We were all comfortably seated in our deck chairs. The storm of the preceding evening had cleared the sky. The weather was now delightful. I have no definite knowledge, mademoiselle, I replied. But can we not ourselves investigate the mystery quite as well as the detective Ganimard, the personal enemy of Arsène Lupin? Oh, no, you are progressing very fast, monsieur. No, not at all, mademoiselle. In the first place, let me ask, do you find the problem a complicated one? Very complicated. Have you forgotten the key we hold for the solution to the problem? What key? In the first place, Lupin calls himself Monsieur R. Rather vague information, she replied. Secondly, he is traveling alone. Does that help you? She asked. Thirdly, he is blonde. Well, then we have only to pursue the passenger list and proceed by process of elimination. I had that list in my pocket. I took it out and glanced through it. Then I remarked, I find that there are only 13 men on the passenger list whose names begin with the letter R. Only 13? Yes, in the first cabin. And of those 13, I find that 9 of them are accompanied by women, children, and servants. That leaves only 4 who are traveling alone.